So a lot of these under the kind of marketing mindset category, I'm probably we'll see what happens, but it won't be as long as some of the other audios have potentially been because I just want to hit on the concept. I want to hit on the nuggets. I'm going to put these into separate ones to listen to, but I just want to just hit these different concepts, and they should be good mental shifts for you to make in perspective, because the biggest thing again and again for me is perspective, right? When you stop seeing the world as black and white, you see things one way, or hopefully there's been a number of things here that open your ears and eyes to a whole world of possibilities and ways to look at things that you hadn't before because you just didn't know any better, right? You don't know what you don't know. Now, hopefully you know some new things and you have different ways to view things and think about them in a different filter and lens to, view potential opportunities. Because the world isn't black and white. We're most definitely in color here in the 21st century. So let's think about opportunities in that way. And it makes things a lot easier to be able to judge what to say yes to, what to say no to not beat yourself up when things aren't going the way that you wish that they would be going, or think that they should be going, or heard that they should be going. So this first one is going to be T.O.M.A, top of mind awareness. So interesting thing with that is that something that's popped up a lot with that is kind of the follow-up formula, right? So I'm not going to give you specific words because, again, I'm not a master wordsmith, and I'm not, quite frankly, some of you right now listening to this have experienced versions of my follow-up. And if you're listening to it, it obviously at some point in time turned you on, and some people have probably turned off. And through the years, what I have found is that I'll give you a story here really quick about a buddy of mine who was at an event with me. We were actually filming this event for free. We met somebody there. I was talking to them, and what they were wanting, I was like, this just isn't the right fit for me, right? This is what we've been talking about the whole time as well. I knew I was crystal clear about what he wanted was not my sweet spot, but who was with me was most definitely theirs. So I connected them together. Of course, they're in person, so there's a lot there. When you can meet people in person, you connect, you have a conversation, there's a real power there. Well, wonderful thing that happened afterwards. He went what I call 0 dark 30. So my buddy followed up every couple weeks for what was almost 7 or 8 months. Emails, no phone calls, no anything else. Just email follow-ups, checking in, what's going on, seeing if it's a good time, right? I've been talking about timing. Wasn't a good time. Sometimes the guy wouldn't even reply. Sometimes he would say, hey man, dude, I appreciate it. Just keep in touch, but not ready right now. Finally, he did a project for a different client, and he put that project in the email and said, hey, we just completed this project for a super awesome client. It made me think of you and something that we were thinking about doing for you. And so he sent that email. Timing was right. The guy got on the phone immediately. They started a project together, and initially that first project was actually like a $4,000 or $5,000 project. And then from there, over the course of 24 months, that has turned into, I believe, almost a couple $100,000 worth of revenue from that direct client, the referrals from that client, the relationships from that client. So it's a long game, right? But how many of us would tend to give up after we send that first email because we automatically, our mindset goes to the negative, bothering them, they don't want it, they're not interested. And even as, again, I've messaged a bunch of you as I've been getting it going, because we all have this start before we're in total demand, everybody knows who we are, and we have more people interested than we know what to do with. But in those early stages, you got to be doing some reach out. You got to be doing all that follow up, right? Until there's just like, I can't handle it. So you don't even maybe have to follow up as much. But depending on what you want and how bad you want it, it requires some patience and persistence and follow up. And so those follow-ups, rather than him defaulting to the negative, they didn't respond, they don't want it. They didn't respond, they don't like me. They didn't respond, they're not interested. They didn't respond, I'm annoying. Right? We default to all this negative. And my goal through all of this is to continue to change your default from pessimistic to optimistic, right? From negative to positive. It doesn't mean that negative things don't exist. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to work out from time to time. But when we can start to default more to positive, and it takes practice. I still have challenges with this, but I've been practicing for a hell of a long time now. So it's not as crippling as it used to be, right? So when you can start to learn that most people, you're not annoying, and that, let's say there's 100 people, and you're messaging these 100 people, and you're following up with these 100 people, and Some have showed interest, some have not. And you can't get a response. You can't do it. Out of the 100 people, I would bet you that there wouldn't be more than, depending on a number of little variables, there's probably not more between 1 to 5, maybe 10 on the high end out of 100 who might be at all annoyed or like, leave me alone. 90 on some level could be very interested. And it's maybe just the wrong time. Maybe it's the wrong offer, right? Who knows what it is? And maybe you'll come across them in the future. I've had that with wrong time. Then I meet somebody else and I'm at an event and then they introduce me to that person that I had been having some dialogue with already. And now because I'm friends with this other person, they're like, oh my gosh, I got to work with you now, right? It's just crazy how things happen. But I just want to make sure that you recognize that whether it's via text message, an email, messenger, LinkedIn message, phone call, walking in the door, whatever it is, it doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be pushy, but simple things. I actually just had one of my coaching clients the other day sent an email and they said, oh my gosh, you didn't get our last email? And he's like, what are you talking about? And she looks and she had it in draft mode, right? She didn't send it and it had been months. You never know when at times, if you don't just reach back out, stay top of mind, they might have thought they sent you an email and for all intents and purposes, forgot all about it and maybe assumed that you didn't reach back out and that you weren't interested. So that's why I'm big on the phone. I'm big on these like real life, I know someone read it or I know someone heard it. I know someone listened, right? Because the reality is in these other forms, at times Facebook can say seen and you're like, oh, they saw it, but they don't want it. It's like they might have clicked on it for half a millisecond and then moved on and then it got buried in their feed. And if you didn't follow back up, they just forgot all about it. Like not everybody's only worried about you. And so there's a lot of things where you're going to start to default to the positive and build up that resiliency and build up that thick skin to not worry about any of the negatives that may or may not even happen because the positives that are going to come out of it are so much greater than any of the negatives. I mean, sometimes I have literally sent a text message, Happy New Year. Hope you're having a great week. Rock and roll. And I've gotten, oh my God, isn't it crazy? Like your ears must be burning. Were you thinking of me? Like I was thinking of you and above. And it's like, who knows? Maybe that was true. Maybe sometimes the world works in mysterious ways. There's a lot of energetic things that happen, but it's like, they may have not reached out, but I took that first step. Take that first step, stay top of mind. And I learned that way back in like 2005 or 6, T.O.M.A. So top of mind awareness. However you got to do it, do it. And it's great to post on social media and do these different things. I like to even become friends with people immediately at Facebook sometimes when I've gone to events and I meet people, because rather than even email or phone numbers or things, if they're on Facebook regularly, which a lot of people are, and you're posting your videos, you're posting your work, and they're seeing that, you might not know that I had people that 3 years later from when we initially connected, I didn't even remember we were connected. They sent me a message, hey, I got let go from this job. I got hired in a new job. The last place didn't need video. I've been thinking about you the whole time. Wish we could work together. This place needs video. Super excited to have a chat. So it's just crazy what's out there and what's happening sometimes in regards to, people who are thinking about working with you, if you can stay top of mind with them. Because I always joke about my lawyer. I'm like, if, hopefully, I got a lawyer, I don't need them hardly ever. And so if I meet somebody and I use them, but then it's 5 years before I need them again, if I haven't had anything with them at all, zero interaction, I might forget actually all about them if I've had zero interaction. So when it comes time again, I'm like, anybody know? And then if somebody introduces me, I might go with them over this other person. I've seen people lose jobs where they were very interested in using a particular videographer, and then it was the wrong time. And then 10 months later, a year and a half later, they were ready, but that videographer wasn't top of mind anymore. So they went with somebody else. So stay top of mind. Rock and roll, my friends. Next audio.